Now, you know things are pretty bad for this White House when it is getting economic lectures from any top-ranking Democrat in the House. But these are very difficult times, aren't they? Steny Hoyer sees it, and he's spelling it out for his president, which is a lot bigger than a general musing in a magazine article about certain foreign policy differences with his president. Weird. Barry Goldwater Jr. says, let's just cut to the chase. Tax hikes for all. Barry is the author of Pure Goldwater, an all-around very, very profound guy. Barry, what do you make of this? Steny Hoyer saying maybe Barry's right, but I think more to the point what he's saying is just taxing the rich ain't going to cut it. What do you make of that?
Neil, I think you're too critical about your weight.
Good. Touche, my man. You're coming back.
But you know, isn't it enlightening to listen to a Democrat talk about raising taxes? Now, that's, you know, that just reminds me that we're in an election year coming up, and politicians, like diapers, ought to be changed once in a while, and probably for the same reason.
What he is saying, because I didn't quite say what you just said, but what he is saying is, at the very least, those top rates in the 250,000 over, they're going to have to go up. But by putting out those code words to say that that's the very least of it, he seems to be saying, I've looked at the numbers, I've looked at our spending, I've looked at these deficits, other rates probably will have to follow. What do you think of that?
Hello. The Republicans have been telling the Democrats that for years. It's a fact that if you tax something, you have less of it. And what we're looking for today is entrepreneurial activity. We're looking for jobs. We're looking for investments and savings. And when you tax that, you're going to have less of it. So the Democrats were very easy with the people's money in spending and running our debt into trillions. But they never thought about how you're going to pay for it. And all of a sudden, they want to raise taxes. You tell that to a taxpayer, and I think you'll get the answer.
Maybe either he's a Trojan horse for the president, indicating that all sure things are not so sure. Every bet is on the table, including addressing, once again, the president's promise to keep the tax hikes to only the rich. What do you make of it?
Neil, we're talking economics here. The whole purpose of the president's budget was to try to stimulate our economy and get us out of this recession. And they did a lot of spending, and now we have to pay for it. When in fact, the answer does not lie with government. Government does not really create jobs. It's the private sector. And if we really want to get our economy back on in a productive, prosperous way, then the Congress should try to do what they can, and first they ought to be cutting taxes. Then they ought to be cutting spending like a meat axe, and then they ought to be looking at regulation. Let the free market stimulate our economy and get it back on track. I think what Steny Hoyer's doing is floating a trial balloon. The reality is, if they don't cut spending, they're going to have to raise taxes.